the Kim-Vân-Kiêu, or the Vietnamese soul unveiled. Translated from French. There are works that carry within themselves the tastes and aspirations of an entire nation, from the rickshaw puller to the highest mandarin, from the street vendor to the greatest lady in the world. They remain eternally young and witness the succession of new generations of admirers. Such is the case of the Kim-Vân-Kiêu, this poem of more than 3,000 verses that reveals the Vietnamese soul in all its delicacy, purity, and self-denial. One must hold one's breath. One must tread with caution to be able to grasp the beauty of the text, so much is it gracious,
dịu dàng,
pretty,
thùy mị,
grandiose,
tráng lệ,
splendid.
huy hoàng.
The author,
Nguyễn Du,
1765 to 1820, left the reputation of a melancholic and taciturn man, whose obstinate mutism earned him this reprimand from the emperor: "You must speak and give your opinion in councils. Why do you thus shut yourself up in silence and only ever answer with yes or no?" A Mandarin in spite of himself, his heart aspired only to the quietude of his native mountains. He came to curse the very talent that, by elevating him to the highest offices, distanced him from himself, to the point of making it the moral conclusion of his masterpiece: "Let those who have talent not glorify themselves for their talent." The word
tay,
talent rhymes with the word
tay.
misfortune. True to himself, he refused all treatment during the illness that proved fatal to him, and, learning that his body was growing cold, he welcomed the news with a sigh of relief. "Good," he murmured, and this word was his last. The Epic of Sorrow. The poem retraces the tragic destiny of Kiêu, a young woman of incomparable beauty and talent. While a radiant future seems promised to her alongside her first love, Kim, fate strikes at her door. To save her father and brother from an unjust accusation, she must sell herself. Thus begins for her a journey of 15 years, during which she will be in turn servant, concubine, and prostitute, fleeing one misfortune only to find a worse one. Yet, like the lotus that blooms on the mire, in the midst of this very abjection, Kiêu preserves the pure fragrance of her original nobility, guided by an unshakable conviction: if a heavy karma weighs on our destiny, let us not recriminate against heaven and let us not accuse it of injustice. The root of good resides within ourselves. Between translation and creation. It was during an embassy to China that
Nguyễn Du
discovered the novel that would inspire his masterpiece. From a story one might judge banal, he knew how to create an immortal poem stroke whose verses are so sweet that they leave, on the lip, stroke when one has sung them, a taste of honey. This Chinese filiation would, however, become an apple of discord for nascent national pride. In the effervescence of the 1920s-1930s, it armed the criticism of the most intransigent nationalists, of whom the scholar
Ngô Đức Kế
became the spokesperson. The
thanh tâm tài nhân
source of the Kim-Vân-Kiêu is but a despised novel in China, and now Vietnam elevates it to the rank of canonical book, of Bible. It is truly bringing great shame upon oneself. In truth, this would be like reproaching La Fontaine for having imitated Aesop or Phaedrus. It would be to forget that, beyond the borrowings made from abroad, what asserts itself here is the sovereign incarnation of national genius. The songs of the villagers have taught me the speech of jute and mulberry. Tears and sobs in the countryside evoke wars and mourning, writes
Nguyễn Du.
In another poem, throughout the epic shines through this trembling, often heart-rending sensitivity of a poet whose heart beats in unison with the sufferings that smouldered confusedly in the humble masses. The reeds pressed their equal tops to the hoarse breath of the north wind. All the sadness of an autumn sky seemed reserved for a single being, Kiêu. Along the nocturnal stages, when a clarity fell from the vertiginous firmament, and the distances were lost in an ocean of mist, the moon she saw made her ashamed of her oaths before the rivers and mountains. A mirror for the people. The fortune of the Kim-Vân-Kiêu was such that it has left the domain of literature, to become a mirror in which every Vietnamese recognizes themselves. A popular song has thus erected its reading as a veritable art of living, inseparable from the pleasures of the sage. To be a man, one must know how to play
tổ tôm,
drink Yunnan tea and recite the Kiêu.
làm trai biết đánh tổ tôm, uống trà mạn hảo, ngâm nôm thúy kiều.
Superstition has even seized upon it, making the book an oracle. In moments of uncertainty, it is not rare for one to open it at random to seek, in the verses that present themselves, an answer from destiny. Thus, From the scholar's cabinet to the most modest dwelling, the poem has known how to make itself indispensable. It is to the scholar
Phạm quyền
that we owe the formula, which remains famous, that summarizes this sentiment. What have we to fear? What should we be anxious about? The king remaining, our language remains, our language remaining, our country subsists.